What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is Hart DFS. Today with another NBA slate breakdown on Draftkings. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Do appreciate all the support. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Hart DFS. Been putting up my core plays the past few days on Twitter. I usually do it pretty much every day, and they've been hitting the past 2 days. They've been really good. Steph kind of had an unfortunate game last game. Only got 47 fantasy points, but the core was really solid the past 2 days, so definitely make sure to follow me there. Put up extra NBA prize pick plays as well. So tune in, follow me there, and throw me a like or a comment on the video and subscribe. Do appreciate all the support. Let's get into the 3 games for today. Sixers, Raptors, 1.5 point spread, 209 over under. Suns, Pelicans, 2.5 point spread, 214.5 over under, and then Mavs, Jazz. There's no spread right now, but it's 210.5 total. First game, we had the 76ers versus Raptors. Embiid priced up a bit, 10-4. It's a little bit more expensive than the last slate. He's playing the minutes. They just haven't been playing well as a team. He's not shooting his usual amount of closer to 20 plus times a game. Hasn't been really getting to his average of rebounds either. Only gone over once. He's getting his assists, but it's just he hasn't really been aggressive. He's been in foul trouble a little bit the past few games in the series. It's been a slow offensive game for both sides, and it does affect Embiid a little bit. But I really like him today. I do expect them to close it out, so I really like him. I really like Harden in a bounce back spot. He obviously hasn't been shooting the ball a ton. Really hasn't been getting into his assist number either. Pretty much has been like a average player, not the James Harden we're used to. Do like him in a bounce back spot though. Don't expect him to be high owned at all. So I do like going to these 2 guys at the top. Tobias, more of a secondary play for me. Been great the past month heading into the playoffs. So I don't mind him at that price, but would rather get to the 2 main guys or just taking that dart throw on Tyrese Maxey and hoping he has a great shooting game because he can definitely get you into the 50s. Fantasy point wise, so I don't mind that. I'd say it's definitely Embiid and Harden at the top for me than taking that dart throw on Maxey. Otherwise, Danny Green looks like a solid value. It looks like they are playing in Toronto tonight, so he should get 25 plus minutes, maybe more. Decent value, 4,400. I think Shake Milton's been getting about 10 minutes, so nothing too crazy there. Korkmaz, no. Niang, about 13 to 20 minutes, nothing too crazy as well. So yeah, I mean, pretty much it's just the main starters, but obviously the main 2 at the top for me. And then looking at Maxey and Green as value. Toronto side, we have Siakam at the top. Price really hasn't changed. Going to play pretty much the whole game. Really like him in the spot as well. Definitely a better play than Harden at this price, just because he's a lot safer when it comes to his production, but I don't mind getting to Harden as like a pivot play. Van Fleet is questionable. It looks like he's doubtful, so keep an eye on the news for that, but most likely he won't play. So that means OG, Gary Trent, and Scotty Barnes are all pretty much going to play the whole game alongside Pascal. And I think my favorite play would be Scotty Barnes. I know he did pretty much all of his fantasy output in the first half. I think he didn't score in the second half, only got like a rebound and assist. But as we can see, he's pretty good at getting a steal or 2 a game, averaging over 1 a game. He's usually averaging about 15 points per game, almost 8 rebounds, and almost 4 assists. And a guy who's going to play close to 40 minutes a game. I do expect him to be a little bit more aggressive this game. Last game was kind of a floor game, so I do really like him at 6,200 for a piece on the side alongside Pascal. OG, an okay play. Pretty much played the whole game. Does a little bit of everything, but I just at that price, I'd rather go down to a guy like Scotty or a guy like Gary Trent Jr. He's averaging almost 2 steals per game, which is big, but he's just more scoring dependent. Past 3 games he shot 19, 20, and then 14, so his shots did go down a little bit. Once again, the game was kind of a little bit of a blowout in the end. Philadelphia really couldn't play or score, so it kind of just led to a lot of the Raptor guys not needing to do as much as usual. Precious had a good game off the bench, 27 minutes. He got 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. A little bit of an outlier there. Don't know if you could do it, but I don't mind if you take that dart throw on him. Thad Young, 16 minutes, didn't do much at all. Always in play for a dart throw, as we can see. He played 30 minutes the previous game, did really well, and then came back down to earth. It seems a little bit forced. I don't want to do it. Same with Boucher. Lost minutes to Precious, so I do think they're going to roll with the hot hand of Precious. Boucher should see about 20 minutes. And that really does it for me on this side. Pretty much just Siakam and then Barnes, and maybe taking that dart throw on Gary Trent Jr. Moving on to the Phoenix Pelicans game. Chris Paul looks great once again. Told you guys to play him in the bounce back spot, and he went for 53 fantasy points. Do expect pretty much the same today. They're going to need a scoring. He realized that. Jose Alvarado kind of made Chris Paul a meme on Twitter the other day, just with going for 4 points, 11 assists and 3 rebounds and not doing much and then losing. So Chris Paul came back, had a great game. Do expect the same thing for him. I would prefer him slightly over Siakam just because it's better environment going against the Pelicans. Ayton looks decent. He's been the second leading scorer pretty much the whole series without Devin Booker. It's just a little too pricey, $7,900 for a guy who's pretty much going to get 40 or less fantasy points unless he's having a really amazing game. Talked about how I like to Miles Bridges last night as well. Played pretty much the whole game. Missed 2 minutes of action. Went off for 51, almost 52 fantasy points. So if you watch the videos, you've been off to a great start with the core for that. But 52 fantasy points, obviously you got 4 blocks and a steal, and that's 10 points, fantasy points right there. So obviously you can't expect 4 blocks. Usually it's about 1 a game, maybe 1.2, but he also gets the steals as well. A guy who's playing the whole game, they do need a second leading scorer behind, Ayton and Paul. So I don't mind going back to Miles Bridges as a guy who plays the whole game. Good defensive player, and as you can see, he does have some upside if he's getting those blocks and steals. Cam Johnson, been a little disappointing. Kind of went above his averages in the peripheral stats of rebounds and assists. Doesn't really get any blocks or steals much. He's pretty much out there just to shoot and hit threes. So if he's hitting the shots, he could definitely get you there, but hasn't been shooting the ball too much or really good recently, so just more of a secondary play for me. Jay Crowder, minutes have been going down. He's been playing terrible. I mean, he's going to be extremely low owned. It's just, I don't know if he gets the minutes, so I don't think I'd get there today at 4,700 for him. And that really does it for me. Campaign played 12 minutes, did really well in that amount, but fouled out. JaVale McGee's been doing decent off the bench. Only played 9 minutes last game, but before that, he's getting about 17 fantasy points off the bench in about 15 minutes, which is kind of wild. But I would just stick to playing Paul, Miles Bridges, and then if you want to, taking just a shot on Ayton or Johnson, but pretty much just Bridges and Paul for me. Pelicans side, we have Ingram at the top, 9K. Don't mind him here. Last game, he kind of came back down to earth, shooting the ball 7 of 19. So it's just an okay play for me. I'd rather get to CJ just because of the volume, the minutes. He's going to shoot 20 plus times a game. He's only had a good shooting game once this series. He's a better shooter than that, so I do expect him to have a good shooting game today. And then at 8,600, I don't mind it for a guy who's playing 40 plus minutes. J-Val, back-to-back decent games. So if you want to go there, I don't mind it. I'd rather get to him over Ingram, but CJ is still my favorite play. Herb Jones is going to get pretty much 40 minutes a game. Obviously, he doesn't shoot the ball a ton, but he's great at defense. 3 blocks, 2 steals, and then last game, 2 blocks, 2 steals. That helps out fantasy point-wise, obviously. Can get the rebounds, and if he's hitting the shots, he can get you, closer into the 30 fantasy point range, but 5-1 for him. It's not really too much of a discount. Do like taking a shot on Larry Nance. He's been getting 20 more minutes a game. Obviously not doing too much on the offensive side just because he's not the main guy. But at 3,800, I don't mind taking a shot on him. As you can see, he can get you, into the higher 20s, maybe even more if he's doing well offensively and rebounding the ball well. Jose Alvarado, minutes have slowly been going up a little bit. Two steals the past 2 games. I don't think I'd get there at 3,400. I just don't see him playing well today. That does it for me on this side. Larry Nance is pretty much just the best value on the side. And going back to CJ McCollum. And the last game of the day, Dallas versus Utah. Luka at the top looks amazing. It's Luka Doncic, one of the best players in the NBA. Back-to-back games of 30-plus points, 54 fantasy points, 59, almost 60. Do expect the same thing for him today. No one on the Utah side can guard him, so I do really like him today. Don't mind Brunson. It was nice to see him shoot the ball 20 times. He didn't really do that when he was starting along Luka in the regular season, but he's done really well in the playoffs, so I do think he's going to stay a lot more aggressive in this series because they need him to be a secondary piece to Luka. So don't mind getting to him at 7,200. It's a little too pricey for me to play him, but if you guys want to go for that, I wouldn't mind it. Dinwiddie, it's always worth taking a shot on. He actually did well coming off the bench, even when Luka and Brunson were in. So, I don't mind getting there. They're going to need a little bit of scoring off the bench, so it's going to come from Dinwiddie if it does happen. Fitty, Smith, and Bullock are pretty much the same players. Going to play pretty much the whole game. Not too involved offensively, but they are getting a good amount of rebounds, assists. And if they're hitting their shots, they can definitely pay off their salaries. But I'd just rather get to Luka and Brunson, and that pretty much does it for me. Kleber's not too involved offensively, neither is Powell. They're both limited to around 20 minutes. So I just pretty much go to Luka and Brunson, and then taking that shot on Dinwiddie. And then the last side, Mitchell's questionable, but he should play today. The price is a little too high for me for a guy who's been way too scoring dependent. His max has been like 45 fantasy points as of recently. So I wouldn't go there. Gobert just doesn't do much offensively. Not for me. Clarkson, his price came up to, way too high at 5,800. I don't really like anyone on this side. Maybe Conley is just a huge dart throw. Maybe he gets back to his old self, but he's been terrible this series. I guess my favorite play would be Bogdan. He's been the most consistent-ish. Obviously last game went 0 of 9, but before that, 12 points, then 24, 25, 26. Everyone on this side just looks bad. The team looks really bad, so I don't know if you need to play any of these guys. They're all still priced pretty high. I guess my favorite play would be Bogdan, and then Mitchell, and then Conley. I don't really think anyone on the Utah side is really sticking out to me as of right now. And let's throw in one more player. We'll do Scotty, and then all games, all. I don't mind getting into guy like, it's a little tough to fit in a bead there, but let's just say Pascal. I don't mind going to the stack of a lot of the Toronto guys once again today. Do think that mid-range route will be the key to today's slate. So this is kind of what I'm looking at as of right now. CJ, Scotty, Pascal, Luka, and Nance. I know it doesn't leave too much to fill in the other 3 spots, but that's what I'm looking forward to as of right now. Definitely make sure to follow me on Twitter at HeartDFS. I'll give an updated core depending on some news if it comes out on Fred VanVleet. But otherwise, this is what I'm liking those Toronto guys a lot, liking, the 2 main pieces from each side on Pelicans, Phoenix, and that really is it for me, besides Luka. So definitely make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Do appreciate all the support, and I'll have an NBA Prize Pick video out in a little bit. Thanks.